I do speak quite quickly, and that is purely because I want to try and get through as much as I possibly can in it. And the conversations that I've had, for those of you that work already with us, you'll know I spend lots of time talking to you all. And with that comes a lot of analysis and a lot of research. And what I noticed when it comes to LinkedIn right now, there's been a bit of a change in the way LinkedIn has been working. And so, what I want to share with you are the common reasons as to why people fail. And this is the stuff that's holding a lot of people back right now. And as I reveal them, what I want to know is which one most resonates with you. What's the thing that may be stopping you from getting the results that you're after on this platform right now? Now, in terms of the first one, typically it comes down to the algorithm. And so you are posting on the platform. For those of you that are active and said you're active, you most likely be posting content, but not getting very much engagement, and specifically not getting engagement from the people that you're trying to sell to. So your prospects aren't engaging. That is something that we see time and time again. People get extremely frustrated by it. Their content is not being seen by the people that they want to. The second is that they have a bit of a mindset thing around direct messaging. And direct messaging is a thing which some people do, but a lot of people find quite spammy and are therefore not contacting anyone. They're just relying on content to be able to generate business. Now, for me, that is one of the biggest mistakes people can make, not utilizing direct messaging. And that's another key reason why people are struggling. For those of you that are direct messaging right now, trying to speak to your prospects, another reason is that the messages that you might be sending are getting ignored, and therefore you're not feeling like you're being heard by the right people. That's something, again, that we see time and time again. Number 4 is that you lack a predictable and sustainable process that is leading a connection that you make on LinkedIn through to being a raving fan of a customer. That process you do not have. And therefore, it's something that you're going to want to put in place if you want to start seeing those predictable results. And then the 5th reason why people fail is that the strategy that you have, or that you think you have, without sounding too horrible, the strategy that you think you have relies on the hope of business coming to you rather than you going and getting it. Now, I am genuinely very curious right now because I'm going to be covering all areas of this. If you could, by the way, switch, if you're sending messages in the chat, could you switch it so you're sending it to everyone, so everyone can see your answers? That'd be really beneficial for me. But which ones? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Which ones most resonate with you right now? So Graham's a 2 and a 4. Sorry, messaging a bit spammy. Option 1 for Steve with perhaps some of 5. Okay, Charlie, 4 and a bit of 5. James is a 3 and a 4. There's a number of you on here. There's over 50 of you online. So I want to see these coming through so I can focus in on the time. 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 4. Okay, so it's actually like a mixture of them all by the looks of things, which is totally fine. Amazing. So what I want you to realize is that if they are things that are holding you back right now and you feel that, you're in the right place. I'm going to be covering it for you. And in terms of this session, you probably sat on lots of workshops and webinars in the past, and where they specifically talk about themselves, the whole thing. I do not. I'm going to leave that slide on there for you for like the next 10 seconds so you can see it. The big thing that I want to highlight is kind of like why we are here today. And the biggest reason is purely because our research tells us that people are getting more and more frustrated when it comes to social media than ever before. And they are applying advice that has just been regurgitated that many times that people don't know whether it works or not. And what we're trying to do as a business at the Social Selling Suite is give you evidence-backed method and then the technology that drives the growth forward for you. So at the end of this session, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can work with us. But everything that I do when it comes to this process, social selling in general, you can find on my profile. So I don't know if either any of you are connected to me already or if we are not connected already. But if you are on today, I implore you to come and scan that QR code. If you're on your phone, please don't worry, just search my name afterwards. But come and connect with me. Let me know that you've been here today. Purely because on my profile, I'm sharing lessons, I'm sharing updates, I'm sharing algorithm reports, I'm sharing lots of different things that are going to give you insight into what's working and what isn't. So my profile is the place to go for that. I give so much value out there. The same with my two other founders, Nick and Sam. We are providing that much information out there. Come and connect with us. We do not bite. Now, I said to you there's going to be 7 steps. So if you've got notepads handy, this is the point at which I want you to take them out and start noting down. And the first step on around today is actually understanding the mindset of your connections that you're currently either in connection with on LinkedIn or will be connected to in the future. And I want you to take a step back from your activity, because I find so many people are absolutely hammering hours and hours into this platform and are unsure as to why it's not working. The first step is understanding the mindset of who you're trying to connect with. And there are 3 specific things that I need you to look at when it comes to this specific step. Number 1 is packaging. Number 2 is the psychology. And then number 3 is your overarching positioning. And this stuff is actually probably the most important part of today's session. The LinkedIn stuff, don't get me wrong, is important. But this, if you get this right, it makes everything else so much easier. And when it comes to packaging, what I want you to think about here is the ways in which you frame your offer. Now, I'm not here to tell you that what you're selling people don't want. However, if you are getting ghosted right now, if you are not getting the conversations that you want right now, if you are sending proposals and not getting responses, or not even being asked to send a proposal in the first place, typically it's because what you're selling isn't ticking the right boxes. And therefore, what it means is that you're lacking the understanding of what makes your prospects interested. This is something that I believe pretty much every single business owner will go through. It's what most business people call finding product market fit. And what you need to realize is the ways in which you package things determines how this works for the prospect. We need to make sure that what you're putting out there to the market is desirable and scalable. 2 things that we help people with time and time again with anyone that we work with. And if you don't do that, just like the example I'm going to explain to you on the right-hand side in a second, you will be leaving a huge amount of opportunity on the table. We need to get the basics right. Now, I've spoken about this example on the right-hand side here for the last 18 months because, to be fair, it was highlighted to me by a contact, and I probably should have made people aware of it way before that I did. But back in 2020, I was selling an Instagram 2-day workshop. Does anyone know that I used to? Give me a yes in the chat if you know that I used to run an Instagram 2-day workshop. I'm just genuinely curious to know who's been here for a little while. It's a few people that have been here, a few veterans, my story, which is great. Now, I used to really struggle to sell that 2-day workshop. It was a real hard thing for me. I was on LinkedIn, I was on Facebook, Instagram, networking, public speaking, doing podcast, doing everything every person on the internet would tell you to do. But I couldn't work out why people weren't buying my 2-day training. Sam, who wasn't my business partner at the time, she's actually in that photo there. She was selling 2-day workshops extremely well, and she was selling 3-day masterclasses really well. I'm like, well, if Sam's selling those brilliantly, why am I not? And what I realized was actually one of the things I'm going to be sharing with you in a second, Sam's positioning was 5 years ahead of mine, right? So she was able to sell pretty much anything that she wanted to with the label that she wanted because people wanted to work with her. Whereas with mine, people didn't. I hadn't earned the right to be able to just go out there and sell something in the way that Sam was doing it. I had to change it. And I remember sitting down, having a conversation with Nick, who was my mentor at the time and beginning business partner, but he was more of a non-exec kind of like advisor rather than someone who was day-to-day in the business. He just used to mentor me. And I remember him saying, like, well, rather than carrying on doing something that's ultimately not working, why don't you switch it up? Why don't you look to reframe things? And he asked me this really, really big question, which I actually implore every single person to write this down now, is what is the outcome that your audience, your prospects, the people in that room actually want from the 2-day training? What is it they want from your offer? And I looked at it and I was like, well, the majority of them pretty much want followers, right? They want 1,000. Like I picked a number. I was like, well, if they could get to 1,000 followers, their first 1,000 followers, I'd be pretty happy. And he was like, well, why didn't you frame your offer around that? And I was like, actually, it's not a bad shout. And we ended up building this 30-day challenge, which, to be fair, linked perfectly with the time of which we were in, because COVID hit and we had to pivot and move online. Everything offline stopped. Was anyone else impacted by that, by the way? Was impacted by the pandemic and had to switch up what they were doing? Just give me a yes in the chat if you were, because you're definitely not alone with it. I really was. And I switched it from a 2-day Instagram challenge to a 30-day 1,000 followers in 30 days challenge. Now, I'm just curious right now, if you have a 2-day Instagram course or 1,000 followers in 30 days, if you were more likely to buy the 1,000 followers in 30 days challenge, could you put the number 1,000 in the chat for me? If you were more the course, just put the number 2 so I can just see. So 1,000 if you're more inclined to buy the challenge, the number 2 if you're more inclined to buy the 2-day course. Now, this is really important because the mindset is different for every single person. But you can see here actually, right? So you've got a couple of people now that are saying the 2. That doesn't normally happen. We've got about, how many have we got online right now? We've got 60 of you that are online at this current point in time. That, in the grand scheme of things, is about probably about 70-30 split. Now, what we actually realized at the time, and it was a bit of bias there because it was the pandemic and everything switched online and people had bounce back lows. They had loads of different things going on that helped this strategy stand out further. But those numbers do not shy away from, bring that back, do not hide away from the impact that switch made. To give you context, back then, I was putting 6 to 10 people in a room and I was selling it for £500 and therefore making between 3 and 5 grand per workshop that day, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I wanted long term. This enabled me, I had no capacity limit, right? I had no issue selling it and people were queuing. And you could see I'd never made that much money in my life in a month, ever. Like I was a startup business. And that was my biggest realization, that my offer needed to change slightly. Now, again, you don't have to send this to me. You can send this private. You don't send this to everyone. You can send it to me privately if you like. But I'm curious to know, who here thinks that their offer could do with some work, right? The way that they package things could do with some work, maybe a little bit of amendment, bit of changing. It's not something to be afraid of. It's something that we see a lot. And actually, you most likely have lots of low-hanging fruit. There's lots of our customers on here. We see results pretty damn quickly because there's low-hanging fruit. A slight change in your offer can be the first stage in that. When you understand it, you can then move into the psychology of everything. And there are 3 things that you need to understand about social selling, selling on social media, and actually marketing and sales in general. The first thing when it comes to the psychology of marketing is touch points, right? So on the right-hand side there, you can see a snippet of our value add campaign, which is where we add value in exchange for data. And you can see there's a number of different touch points, from LinkedIn to Instagram to podcasting to live talks to public speaking to email marketing, all the way there. There's different touch points. These are the ways in which you get seen, right? So the points of contact between a potential customer and your brand throughout a buying journey. Really, really important for you to understand this. You need as many touch points as frequently as you possibly can to stay top of mind. But that's not all. The second thing that you need to understand is dwell time. So when you're selling to strangers online, this is where I'm going to give you this tip now, because actually I see so many people doing this and they're leaving, again, opportunity on the table. This is where, if you're posting content right now, which is just a photo of you and some written text, you are missing out. Because the dwell time when it comes to that specific content format, if that's all you're doing, you are missing out on huge potential from just slightly changing your approach. So dwell time is the amount of time a user spends engaged with your content or just your business and brand in general. And when it comes to these social media algorithms, this is all they care about. How long can they keep their users on their platform? Because the longer that they spend on it, the more advertisements they can put in front of them, and therefore the more profitable they are. If you can get people engaging in your content, keep coming back to it, watching it, reading it, scrolling through it, increasing the dwell time will have a direct impact on your overall engagement. And this is where the performance and understanding that the ways in which this algorithm works, which actually algorithm is just user behavior. It's just how we interact on these platforms comes into play. And until you understand this and have a process that helps emphasizing this, you'll be leaving opportunity and not seeing the results that you want. Dwell time is so, so important because when it comes to LinkedIn, how many people are posting content on it right now? How many people are out there trying to fight for this attention, steal for this attention? There's one thing getting it, but then you've got to keep it. And as an example here, I don't know how you've made your way to this workshop today. I'll ask that a little bit later on. But whether it's consuming content on LinkedIn, YouTube, podcasting, blogging, seeing me speak, meeting me in person, even just this webinar now, the majority of you, I'm hoping, will stay to the end. And therefore, I've built an hour's worth of dwell time with you. This you don't typically get everywhere. Like, you can't just get this on LinkedIn, right? I've had to take you off the platform to be able to get this attention. And you need to realize this. The third thing then, pulling it together, so you've got touch points and you've got dwell time. The third thing then is understanding how to instigate a mindset shift in your prospect, right? So it's how to take a stranger to the point where they want to buy. This typically rarely happens, should I say, rarely happens on the social media platform alone. You've all probably heard of those 4 words on the screen: awareness, understanding, desire, and action. Well, awareness in this specific context is helping your prospects realize the problems that they're facing. So would you say today, just give me a yes in the chat if you agree with this, that already today I may have helped you a little bit realize the problems that you might be facing? Again, yes or no, actually totally fine. On the second slide, I've really made sure that I've emphasized the problems that people might be facing. What I've then got to do, and I do this with my content, I do this with my workshops, I do this with my video, I literally do this in every possible way that I can. I then have to educate my prospects on the root cause and then the implications of their challenges. So the consequences that are going to happen if they don't solve it. This workshop, I'm going to train you. I'm going to educate you. Again, I'm developing and pushing an understanding. What I then have to do, and again, this is just happens, right? If you get someone to buy, you will have done this, but understanding it then allows you to do it more deliberately. But then what you've got to do is create the desire to make a change. The majority of businesses that I speak to, the reason why they struggle is because their service and their solution, the customer may actually want and need, but unfortunately, there's 5 other things ahead of it. And what you need to realize and what you need to work out how to do, if you don't already, is how do you shift yourself up the priority list? How can you make them want to change faster? How can you make them press that buy button and then move into that 4th element, which is action? Number of touch points, increased dwell time, all helps layer the awareness, the understanding, the desire, and the action. And this is how, when you start to put this against a process, which I'm going to teach you today, when you do that, that's how you compound the results over and over and over and over again. That is all we're doing here from a marketing and sales point of view, is layering this over and over and over again. Before I move on to positioning, does that make sense? Does the touch points, the dwell time, and the mindset shift stuff make sense? This is like so important to realize. It does to Simon. Does it to anyone else? It does. Okay, great. Perfect. So as we're going through this, you then move into what we call positioning, right? And positioning is the bit that I think that most people neglect. When I look at positioning, it's about how are you putting yourself out there as somebody that's worth following in the first place? How can you put yourself out there, especially to strangers online, where they actually want to buy from you? And on the right-hand side there is going to be a great example I'm going to talk you through. But what I find crazy is there are so many people out there teaching marketing, teaching social media, and you may have gone through different programs and courses and education in the past. I am a course junkie as well. But they teach that if you just show up online and tick the box, you post the selfie with a bit of writing, you be controversial, you do these things, and eventually things start to happen. I need to tell you today that just doing these things is not enough. You need to understand how to develop and instigate that mindset shift, how to build up the dwell time. I'm going to let you into a little secret today. You can remove my LinkedIn profile away from it, all the written text that I've done in the past, everything away. The only thing that has given me the biggest change in impact over the past 4 years is the fact that I've embraced video. And this is a video here, right? I could actually type up the notes to this for you today and send it out, but it wouldn't be anywhere near as effective for our business or for you. However, I am obviously aware that not everybody likes to do video. Does anybody here find video a bit awkward right now? Maybe lack a little bit of confidence to put it out there, don't really know what to say, don't really know how to structure it. It's not something that everyone struggles with, which is fine, but there are lots of people that do. Video for me is the thing that has made the biggest impact when it comes to selling to strangers online, to selling to businesses online. Because it enables me, bearing in mind I'm practiced, right? I've done probably like 2,500 videos in my time now. Like I've started it 6 years ago, 5.5, 6 years ago. And I've done one probably every other day since, whether it is me posting it or me just practicing it. You need to showcase the best version of you online and take a moment to think about what you're currently doing to build your positioning. This workshop is positioning. All the videos that I put out there before is positioning. All the content that I've done, the blogging that I've done is positioning. The public talks, the podcast interviews, it's all positioning. Jamie York on the right-hand side there now has 108,000 subscribers. We launched his YouTube channel together back when the pandemic hit. It's taken him 4 years. On his YouTube channel now, there is over 150 hours of him delivering value. Now, I'm not saying you have to go out there and mimic this, but Jamie has now put in £15 million since launching an educational arm to his business, a consulting arm to his business. 15 million quid. And the biggest thing when we looked at his whole social media strategy is the fact that he's been the person adding the most value in the marketplace for the last 4 years. And this is the biggest realization that everyone needs to have. If you want to win online, you've got to put the hours in to create the right things, to create the right content. And also link that up with the same thing that we did with Jamie, which was a process, mapping out a business process, which I know isn't the most sexy of things in the world, but something that then is going to tell you whether your actions are working or not. I'm curious here, who currently has a process like this in their business and who doesn't? Again, totally fine, because I'm going to help you with this anyway. But these sorts of processes allow you then to build the predictability and the sustainability. They are crucial, paramount to your success. I also want to know who on here has or could do with a bit more clarity on their offer or their target market or their messaging, their sales process, or their personal brand. Who here could do with a little bit of support, a little bit of advice, a bit of direction around any of those things? Just again, some of you might be absolutely nailing this, which I'm totally fine with. And again, the educational help. I'm just curious, some of them for Simon, Charlie's the sales process, Sarah's target market, Sarah is the messaging and the sales process. Okay, is that it for everyone? That's the main. So sales process for Paul, all of the above for Jeremy, Mix, Tony. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do for you, if you are a Social Selling Suite member already, you've obviously got access to the community to be able to ask and book a call in that way. So this link isn't technically for you. However, again, with it, if you need any help, message me. But for those of you that aren't working with us right now, you'll see there's a QR code in the top right-hand corner. It's completely free to do. There are, I believe, 15 slots in my diary over the next couple of days where I will spend time with you talking about offer, target market, messaging, sales process, personal brand, whatever you feel is relevant for you. It's a half an hour slot, and we will go through that all together. Now, that QR code, I don't know if it's 100% working. If it isn't, and you'd like the link, I'll put the link there for you as well. That's there for you. The calls are with me, so we'll have a one-to-one conversation from there. It is working. Okay, amazing. So we'll go through that together. That QR code, as I mentioned, will be at the top right-hand corner. But step one is around that mindset piece. Step two then moves into building the right audience online. Okay. So there's one thing going out there and pressing connect. There'll be a number of you, I'm not going to ask, but I'm assuming a number of you understand that you can build your network on LinkedIn. You can go out and connect with your ideal clients and your prospects, right? Now, for me, when it comes to our strategy with this, we recommend that you connect with 3 types of people. There is also then, alongside that, one piece of criteria that you need to ensure you have in place for maximum growth. Now, you can send typically between 100, I'm going to put this in the chat box for you, 100 to 200 connection requests per week. That's on LinkedIn. You can go out and you can connect with 100 to 200 people. Typically, you will see a 50% acceptance rate. That is your target. That is the benchmark. That is what you're after. Now, as you're doing this, the 3 types of people that you should be looking to connect with are prospects, potential referral partners, and then the third one, which is what most people miss, which are profiles who are going to support your content. To be able to win on LinkedIn, unfortunately, and I hate to say it, but unfortunately, you've got to learn how to get your best content seen. And this is the bit that so many people struggle with. The way to do that is by connecting with the right people in the first place. And what I would say is 50% of those 100 to 200 connection requests per week need to be people that are going to support your content. All right. The reason being is because if they support it, they will give you more reach. They potentially may have ideal clients in their network. And overall, it pushes your profile performance up. So when someone sees your profile and they see a higher level of engagement, they're going to be more likely to give you the time of day. The criteria on top of this is making sure, just by a quick check of their profile, that they are actually active on the platform. This is a big realization for lots of people. Lots of people go out there and they'll use Sales Nav or press search and go and type in who they're after. But they then go and connect and send requests that end up being wasted because the people that they're connecting with aren't on the platform. Just by simply clicking the person's profile, scrolling down slightly, going to their activity section, you can see who's online and commenting and who's posted. I do not connect with someone unless they have left a comment in the last 7 days. That gives me a little bit of an idea, a comment or a post in the last 7 days. When you do that, you'll see the same results that I have, the same results that Nick has, the same results that Sam has. Your engagement going through the roof because actually people get a chance to see your content. The next thing on top of that is then understanding that you can automate the way that your network is built. Is anyone on here right now automating their network build? Just curious. Anyone automating their network build? This is something that I've done for the last 2 years and been testing it on different platforms over and over and over again. With them, I don't send invitation messages. So some people like send invitation messages out and then think that that's going to increase it. I've found that if you send an invitation message, people are expecting to be pitched to and therefore are less likely to accept. I just send invitation messages out. So I can't go into the automation software on this session. It's something that we do teach people to do. But again, if you have any questions around it, I can answer. But there's loads of different ones that you can use. Linked Helper. I think there's something called like Flow.io. There is Meet Alfred. There's loads of them that are out there. They're all relatively safe now. The one that we use, we don't actually have an official partnership with them. But you can see on the right-hand side there that August 2024, the founders, like 1,300, 2,400 invites sent, 50% conversion like to acceptance. And then you can see the messages there that then gets sent. So when they accept, they then get an automatic message from me, which I'm going to be talking to you about today anyway. But that allows my audience to grow by a minimum of 50 people per week, which isn't actually enough, but it's a benchmark. 50 people a week. People spend hours pressing buttons on LinkedIn, which you don't need to. This does not harm your account. It does not harm your engagement. It does go against LinkedIn's term of service, to be fair. However, I've never had an issue with it, and it is something that I actively use, and I just want to be honest with you about it. Another big thing to help you realize that you do not need SalesNav to win on this platform. Some people love it. I do not have SalesNav. I do not use it. I do not use premium. I am not after like high-level corporate business in the same way that Sam does. Sam loves SalesNav and utilizes it and teaches it and is an absolute whiz on it. I don't even really know how to use it. Like I've never really paid any attention to it. And so again, if you're strict on cash right now and you're paying on SalesNav, I'm here to tell you that you don't need to be able to do it. So you've got network building and then automating that as quickly as you can. We then have to move into step number 3, which is posting content. And when I say posting content, we need to have outcomes in mind when it comes to our content. Otherwise, it's never going to work. The outcomes need to be these 3 things. So please write these down if you haven't already. The post type number 1 is connection content. Number 2 is control content. And then number 3 is conversion content. All 3 are as important as each other, and it's about having a balance to that. This is what my connection content looks like. This is about sharing my lessons, sharing the journey that I'm going on, sharing the funny things that happen, the stories that are going on, the wins that I'm having. But I'm doing it in a way which performs online. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and read these posts for you. If you want to have a look, go to my profile and scroll down. The ones that have got over 100 reactions on, that's what you want to be looking at and studying. We teach this inside of our academy. However, you can actually self-identify what I'm doing in these pieces of content to get them to perform. Connection content is purely done to build your audience, to build your following. You can only grow on LinkedIn typically by about 50 people per week. Now, when it comes to real growth, Nicholas Jones, my business partner, Nick, I don't know if you're on, but if you can, let people know on a good month how many followers that you grow by. Nick, when he started, was 10,000 followers under me. He's now overtaken me by about 5,000 because he has mastered connection content. I'm still learning. I haven't perfected this, right? I'm still learning. I never claim to know everything. I'm testing all the time. Nick sees growth like no one I've ever seen before on this platform. It is insane. But again, it comes from feeding the platform with the right content. Hi, Sam. Good to see you. And it's not just Nick, though. Like people in our community are seeing like insane results from this. You can see Philippa here went from 7,096 followers to 7,600 in 5 days. Like, this is where I say to people, like, network building is not enough when it comes to winning. You've got to understand how to play the game properly. Charlie, I think Charlie's here actually. I think I've seen her name a couple of times, right? Joined my first call. Yeah, got my first when I rewrote my intro post, and with the help of Nick's tweak, sent it out to the world of LinkedIn. Then I got this DM message from a guy I worked with years ago. Connection content does also help you generate leads, and those reintroduction posts typically always fly. And then this is my fiance Zoe, actually had this prime example. And this is really, really interesting. Right? Can you see here? Can everyone give me a yes in the chat if you can see how many followers Zoe's got here? It's quite small, but it's 880. Can everyone see that? 880 followers that she's got. It's next to nothing, right? Just make sure you're like you can hear me here. Can you see that she has 880 followers? Yes or no in the chat? Give me it. I want to emphasize this. 880 followers. And Zoe was able to reach 133,000 people. Now, at the time, Zoe had a property investment business and she was working with holiday lets, but specifically dog-focused holiday lets. And she was looking to raise money for that property business. Therefore, the picture of Peggy, the support dog that Zoe was raising at the time, was very relevant. Now, what I'm curious by, Zoe had 880 followers and had the ability to reach over 100,000 people. What are your current impressions on LinkedIn right now? What do you get per post? Now, that's not an average for Zoe. That's a high. Typically for me, I will get between 3 and 10,000 normally, and that's not putting a huge amount of effort in. But I'm just curious, your average impressions number, everyone. What is your impressions number per post that you do? Is it 1,000? Is it 20,000? So Steve is 200 to 400. Nick's 10 to 20K. So you're higher than me. Tony 100 to 200. What else have we got? 150. Chloe 100 to 500. Here's the big news flash. If you're not getting over 1,000, you need to speak to us and book that call in because your content is pretty much a waste of time. And that is a huge thing. 1,000 is the minimum. Anyone can get it. 100 followers, you can get 1,000 impressions, right? You just need to be posting about the right things in the right way, in the right format. Biggest thing with connection content. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it. And when you do, just like Charlie had someone direct message her, you can see Zoe there getting direct messages through. Just watch a short video. I'm intrigued to know more. I have considerable experience with dogs and considering investment opportunities. Right? You've got to play the game properly. If you aren't already, reach out, speak to us because we'll help you figure it out. The second type of content is control content. And people think that actually you can't promote on this platform. And I'm telling you, you can. If you frame it and you do it in the right way. We post lead magnets quite regularly. Sam has her books that have been read by thousands of people now. Out of interest, has anyone read Sam's books in the chat? Give me a yes if you've read any of Sam's books in the past. I'm sure a number of you have. Great reads if you haven't read them already. We've got lead magnets on here, right, as well. Value add. You can see 16,000 impressions, 22,000 impressions. Again, with it, the impressions are there, right? But you've got to post it. Lead magnets are what we use to capture data, to build our email lists up, right? This is stuff, if you've not got lead magnets right now, this is the reminder, you need them. If you want to win on LinkedIn, you need them because you need to build your lists. And Susie normally attends these. I don't think she's on today, but Susie put one up and had 10 applicants come through right away. Like, it's amazing what happens when you put something out of value and ask for something in return afterwards. It's that mindset that you need. And once you do that, you have the blend. You've got connection content, you've got control content, you then have conversion content. And this is what we use to drive calls. So I promote my webinars as conversion content. Nick promoted our mastermind as conversion content. And Sam does it in a number of different ways with workshops, whether that's to corporate or to small businesses. We all have different ways in which we're driving sales calls. And Debbie did the exact same thing, posted a piece of conversion content, signed up a contract for 12 months from one of my LinkedIn posts. Now she's got to build the process and do the same thing. Content is one way to drive a sales call, but it is not the way. And everybody seems to be thinking that their content is the thing that's going to make the difference. Content helps, but it's not the only thing. And when we look at all the different people that we've worked with, Sam knows Matt Fletcher extremely well, but Matt has probably a topic that most people think wouldn't do particularly well on LinkedIn. Industrial equipment refurbishment. His following's a lot higher than that now. I think it's like 35K now. But again, 127,000 views talking about industrial equipment refurbishment, repair and supply. That's the message that he then sent Sam, I think a couple of months afterwards. 18 new customers this month, all have come through LinkedIn. Surprised to see my profile views, 129,000. That was one email that he sent, 18 new customers, right? And that's just content, right? This is where we've got to layer it in. We then move to step 4, which is direct messaging. And direct messaging is split into 2 specific sections, list building and meetings bookings, right? How to book a meeting. When it comes to list building, I mean, out of interest, who's currently sending direct messages on this platform at the moment? Who's sending them and who isn't? There are a few of you that said direct messaging was a bit spammy and didn't like it. So Sarah's sending loads, Sasha's sending them, Graham isn't, Simon a few, James, yes, Tony's some, Charlie. So I send 100 a day, all automated. I don't send them, the system sends them. But it have a specific set of phrases that I use that has riddled the reverse psychology, but I shove that much value out there in that message that I then get the lead magnet downloads that I want. So with it, messaging, and when it comes to list building, the big thing there is actually having an email list in the first place. I'm not going to ask you whether you have an email list right now, but I am going to ask you how you found out about this workshop today. Did you attend this workshop today because you got an email from me? Or did you attend this workshop today because you heard about it on social media? If you had email, please say email. If it was social, please put social. If you could switch your chat so you send it to everybody, I really need everyone to see this. Can people see how many emails are in the chat box right now? Give me a yes if you can see how many emails are in the chat box right now. If I did not have an email list that was built utilizing the direct messaging that I'm doing on social, I would most likely have 4 people on here right now. When I say it's critical, it is the thing that the majority of people are missing and the big thing that we help people build. And direct messaging is your main source for your email list building. We use LinkedIn to build our audience. We post content to nurture it, but we use direct messages to push them through our sales process. And the messaging, like I mentioned, you do not need to send them. Like Piers has got here on the right-hand side, it is automated, right? Put the value out there without asking for anything. Have a list building mentality, and then you trust the process, is what we ask every single one of our customers to do, right? You've just got to really trust it and then follow it to the T. Because when you build the list, you can then move into, once you've sent your first message, who here likes to book meetings on LinkedIn? Who would like to be able to book a call with a prospect from a direct message? Just curious, who needs that? Because not everybody does. I don't need to. I do it on occasion. But again, with it, when you send that first message, you then follow up with simple message techniques to be able to book a meeting. And just like I did on the right-hand side, here, like, look at this, right? With it, this was a 7 to 8 message exchange. It wasn't fast. Simon, that is literally the biggest point. You don't want to just be jumping on calls with randomers. You want them qualified, which is what I'm doing on the right-hand side here. My one-to-one clients are all referral and invitations. I always have to start helping other coaches, blah, 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 blah. I do have a replay. Yes, I'm happy to have a call. I'm away this week at Fight Camp. Great, here's the link to book one. Qualified. He ran webinars. He had social. It just wasn't performing in the way that he wanted. Full booking came through. Once you've connected with someone, like, this is something, once that first message has gone out, that we start getting you to do. Start having conversations with your connections in a structured way that leads to a potential meeting. So many people think that they can't happen. Like, they think that messaging is spamming. It's not if you have a human-like approach to it. Like, I recently I did a post about this. I don't know if anyone's seen my content over the last couple of days, but I spoke about how I've just moved to Perth, no connections, no contacts, no friends here, nothing. And I'm like, how can I meet some people that are going to help not just me settle in, but also help the business as well? I sent 3 messages, got 3 responses, 3 meetings booked. I had one yesterday, which went really well. The guy was fantastic. I didn't expect it to happen, but has become a customer, or will become a customer since then in some shape or form. And the other 2 we'll soon find out. But this is the big thing. Like, so many people are robotic. You've got to be human and understand that not everybody wants to buy from you. But I believe everybody can help you. And overall, as a company, mine, Sam's, Nick's company here, we've generated upwards of £1 million from using this approach, building that list, booking those meetings in. And again, with it, there's so much money on the table when you do it right. And this was actually our old sales manager doing it on the right-hand side here. You can have a look, and if you want, you can screenshot this and read the conversation. But you can see here, thanks, I saw your message, Leanne. Sounds good. Honestly, I couldn't give good faith recommend whether I can help or not. Would you book a call in? Call booked. Gal went on to be our customer of ours for around 8 months. And if you look at Gal's account now, it is flying on LinkedIn right now. It's about understanding how to get people to want to talk to you. And that goes back to step number 1, right? The positioning and everything like that. Now, I'm curious right now, Like, how are you finding this? So is this giving you some insight? Is it proving useful to you? Is it giving you like some things that you may want to change in the future? I'm genuinely just looking for feedback at this point because it's new content. Is it useful, practical, something that you can do? Amazing. Good stuff. 4 to-dos from Graham already. Amazing. Now, the reason why I also asked that is purely because as a business, me, Nick, and Sam all came together with a very similar mission around 4 years ago. Now, again, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but we all started our own businesses. And I'm not going to say I built them over the last 20 years, but Sam and Nick are a bit older than me. I've been in business for around 5 years. Sam and Nick have built big businesses in the past, from recruitment to training and education to consulting, number of different businesses. We've built them, we've failed in them, we've got back on our feet again, and we've worked hard to understand that in a world where the information, right, is so conflicting and vague, that there are people out there that need help. And so what we're doing now is working together to help those businesses grow healthy, sustainable businesses, avoiding some of the failures that we see time and time again. And again, there's lots of customers on here today, from Paul all the way through to Tony, Joseph. So, like, there's lots of people on here that work with us today, which is amazing to see. But we put in so much time to being able to help people. So I really am grateful that you're finding this useful. I mentioned email list before. What most people don't realize is that your email list is your biggest tool. And step number 5 is utilizing it. I don't know how many of you on here have an email list, right? But if you do, ask yourself the question, are you using it to generate sales? That's your biggest question. Lots don't have one. Some do, but they don't bother using it. We spend lots and lots of time with clients talking about this specific part, right? Absolutely critical. As a team, right, between me, Sam, Nick, Elise, Zoe, across the board on all socials, we have around about 250,000 followers. You could remove those social media accounts from us, and as a business, we'd be fine for months. We are not at the mercy of an algorithm because we've got control of data. I never always had that, and therefore I was vulnerable. And this is what I want to reinforce to you today. You do not own your social media accounts. People spend hours and hours and hours putting time into their social accounts, but do not protect them. Graham is bang on. You've got to own your own leads, own your followers, own the data, because then you have control. And control is one of the biggest things that we teach. And when you do, you can then look to sell like Melissa did. Melissa sent one email, 520 opens, which isn't a huge email list. That's about 1,000 emails, 520 opens, 181 clicks, and 6 sales of the product, right? Just from sending an email template, that is it. And you've got to start utilizing your email list. Like, if you don't have one, our technology, the one that we've developed and built, will allow you get this as part of everything that we do, but you get to host your own lead magnets on there, which will then build your email list, right? So it's included with everything. And when you've got that email list in place, you can then run conversion campaigns. And conversion campaigns are activity, process that you run that is actually going to drive the sales that you're after. So many people are waiting for business to come to them. What I'm trying to get you to realize today is that you need to focus in on building that audience and then driving them through that process so they can buy from you. There are so many ways that you can create conversion opportunities. And if you're not doing any of these right now, write them down. On my account, we run all of these. Number 1, webinars. So this is a webinar. We also run social media audits. We give free calls away. We also have a scorecard that we give out, which allows us to convert. We have meetings. On the bottom left-hand side there, that was a meeting that I went to yesterday. We then also have DM conversations. Sam goes out and talks and sells on stages, which gives value and people buy, should I say, like in the way that it works. Generates lots of business from going out there and talking. Don't get me wrong. This stuff takes effort, right? It takes effort to get right. And you've got to be willing to test it and change it and adapt. But like, just on this process here, right? Like, you've heard me speak about the words connection, control, conversion, and close. Like, out of these here, I can list them. I do LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, starting on TikTok, YouTube, podcasting. All of that comes from one piece of content, which is a podcast. It then gets repurposed. I then do networking, talks, workshops. I hate cold calling. I should do it, but I don't. I collaborate with influencers. I don't do much channel. We have a referral partnership program. I don't do network marketing, but we're looking at social ads. So all the connection is driving traffic. The traffic gets driven to PDFs, workshops, mini courses, videos, one-to-one conversations, Sam's books. Once we've got the email addresses, we then convert, which moves into webinars, sales calls, free audits, scorecards, evergreen meeting. The reason why your pipeline grows is because when you start to implement, automate, build the process, you compound all of this activity rather than just, I'm going to give that a go. And then I'll try a bit of LinkedIn. I'll put some content. I'll send some messages. Let me go onto our Facebook group. But rather than having a scattergun approach, it is all in a process that is connected. And this is the stuff that everyone needs to wake up to right now. And if you need the help with it, that QR code, remember, there are any calls there, slots left. Go and grab one so we can discuss it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and read these out, but whenever we work with someone, the biggest focus point for our customers is turning their activity into converting business. The positioning piece is the bit where most struggle, getting their positioning right. Then it's the process, and then it's actually getting the business done with strangers. They find it easy to sell to people that are referred to them. They find it difficult to close business with people that they don't know. We specialize in teaching all of that. And the biggest reason we succeed over and over and over again is because we are data-led, which again isn't the most sexiest of things. But step 7 is making sure that you're tracking everything. You don't need to look at everything all the time, but you've got to review your data and then consistently look for areas to improve. This is the bit that so many neglect. But Piers Courage Jones, he's not on here today. Sometimes he attends them. But he is the person that is implementing this right now and flying. For those of you that are in our community, you've seen Piers' wins, right? Give me a yes if you've seen Piers' wins and you're in our community at this current point in time. Like, he is following it to the T and then tracking absolutely everything, which is all we ask people to do. It's just track. Do not guess your way to success, right? Create the campaigns. If you don't know how to create them, come and talk to us. Because when you do it, it will give you the clarity, and clarity gives you the confidence to take your prospect on a journey rather than trying to close them right away. Then you're tracking the performance. Our system helps you track the performance. And here's the big fact. If your social media activity, right, and you feel like you're doing this right, if it hasn't given you a result after a couple of weeks of effort, stop and start looking at the gaps that I presented to you inside of this training, because you will be missing things that you need to implement. That goes for current customers. That goes for people that have never heard of us before. You can get results extremely quickly when you identify the gaps and you fill them. And then some final bits of advice for you are there, right? Take the prospects on a journey, and with it, you'll see results just like George did. So George started working with us around about 8 months ago. We worked down his offer. So this is what we do. This is how working with us looks. We help create your offer, frame it in a right way. We then look at your conversion piece of content. So we look at a webinar or an audit or a sales call or a meeting. We then get your content performing. You can see here some huge results from George, 95,000, 1 million. This one here reached, again, over the last 28 days, 1.5 mil. On his LinkedIn, 1.3. I then asked of him the results that he got, right? 2 million that he raised since November. That was, I think, at the beginning of this year. And then just under 60 grand raised from education sales. That's how we work with people. Offer, working through clarity, connection, control, conversion, and close. And I need to tell you this right now. Social selling is not difficult, but you've just got to have the right mindset for it. And the Academy, some of you might want to know what it is. Our Academy is part of our social selling suite. And what it does is it breaks down 4 specific things that most people are missing. The knowledge. So the e-learning library is there. The roadmap system is there to train you on the gaps that you've currently got and how to fill them. We then have the accountability. So again, with it, the way that our system is built, it drives you through this process, making sure that you're doing what's required to start making sales. There is 0 excuses, because we will tell you what you need to do, when you need to do it by, and also why you need to do it. We also then do mentoring, right? Live weekly sessions and also one-to-one support as well. So feedback on all of the work that you do, anything that touches your business, right? We track it. We then have the technology as well. So again, from lead magnet system that's currently live to email marketing that's coming to planning and analysis that's coming as well. This will all be included upon launch. The training, I've mentioned it before, we train you on every single element of this. And the ultimate goal is building healthy, sustainable business consistently. We are looking to set you a target, whether it's 5 grand, 10 grand, 50 grand a month, 100 grand a month, wherever you want to get to, we will set your target and we work towards it. We consistently look to grow. We are also an in-person training as well. So again, this isn't just online. Every quarter, we get together and we mastermind. The next one's in December. It's a bit of a Christmas get-together. And again, with it, we're going for some food and drinks afterwards. I'm not too sure kind of what the availability is on that because they're very popular. But again, with it, we get 20 to 40 people in a room to be able to do it. And again, the feedback that we get on them, purely because we add the community element as well, is extremely powerful. Our roadmaps take you through product and market, marketing, sales, and delivery. Takes you through everything that's on that list. I'm not going to read it out to you because it's just like anything that contributes to business growth, we will cover and make sure that you implement it for healthy, sustainable growth. We are a very experienced team. We're a small team, but we're very, very experienced and we work with each and every one of you. You can't just buy this program. You have to book a call in with us to be able to do it, to make sure that we're the right fit. But whether it's me, whether it's our LinkedIn queen, Sam, whether it's Nick, our business growth strategy, whether it's Zoe on sales funnels, systems, process, graphic design, or Elise that covers pretty much our whole conversion campaign process. We track everything. We set targets for you. And what we need for you, this is why I need to speak to you, because I need to make sure that you're the right person for this. I need you to be able to listen, apply, and be open to adapt. If you're not that person, this isn't for you. We know what works. We're going to tell you what works. We just need you to apply it, just like Piers did. The one-to-one, again, with it is to review your work. So everything that you complete along the roadmap process, you can submit to us, and then we will talk through and give you the feedback that you're looking for as to whether it's right or whether it's wrong. We then have the group mentoring every Monday at 12 p.m. and every Thursday at 2 p.m. Typically, we have 20 to 40 people come online. We deliver elements of training, and it is all about teaching you this process that pretty much I've gone through this whole session on. And then from that, what we ask of you is to make sure that you share with us like your results as you're going through. Okay. Now, these results, I'm not going to sit here and read out purely because of time. But the technology is then being built. It's not perfect. We are still working on it. Our customers will know how much time Nick is currently spending on our technology and developing it out. But we know how much money people are spending on software right now. So we're including that as well. And we're training you on how to use it. So lead magnets, CRM, email marketing is all coming. The lead magnets is already live in there for you to use. And today's offer is a chance to be able to work with us for 6 months. You'll get access to all of the training. We'll set your targets, make sure that you're working towards them. You get all the feedback that you need to make sure that it's working for you, so you're going to grow. You get the one-to-one support calls and accountability. We then give you the in-person training workshops and mastermind days. That is included, the quarterly masterminds. You will have a 30-minute one-to-one strategy with me. So again, we'll have that right at the beginning. And with it, we have 10 people to join us this month. Now, we are towards the end of this month. So I've extended it for 3 days. So again, we can have the conversations that we need. That is all included for 500 plus VAT per month. Okay, so 6 months, £500 plus the VAT per month. To be able to talk with me about this, the QR code is there. For those of you that have already booked your call in, if you want to talk about it, we will. If you don't, that's also totally fine. Do not feel obliged. It is not a problem either way. That link is there for you to be able to take. I'm going to pop the link in here as well, just so you've got it. Again. And what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to quickly check the chat box again to make sure I've not missed anything in there, which is fine. And then in the Q&A, I said I'd come to. Before I go into the Q&A, does that all make sense? Was that helpful for everybody? Has that been a good use of your time? Just give me a thumbs up or a yes or something, just so I know that you've had a good time with us for the hour that's pretty much there. Amazing, cool, good stuff. Really, really glad it was useful. So let's come into the Q&A quickly and make sure that we've got everything. Where's the Q&A section? What I'm going to do, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to make my screen small. Hold on. And then I'm going to bring up the Q&A because it's got through. I'm going to stop sharing, and there's the Q&A there. So, Graham's asked, why is your £50 per month offer value for money? The £50 a month value offer is basically the training, like the training and the group mentoring. So you just don't get to work with me and the team reviewing everything with the accountability. So it's a different offer, to be fair, Graham. Steve, do you mean send 100 direct email messages a day or LinkedIn messages? LinkedIn messages a day. The system does that, Steve. So the system, the automation software allows us to bypass it. David, what software do you use for your mailing list, Chris? So we have our own one. So again, we have an integrated system with our platform, but there's loads of different ones out there. If you're not using ours, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, there's loads of different ones that you can use. Who do you recommend to do a professional job on creating an ebook? I have the content. If you reach out to us, Graham, we can help you with that. My fiance designs all of ours, so we can have a conversation with you about that. So that's every question that I've covered. That is pretty much everything that I've got for you. For those of you that have booked your call in, I look forward to speaking to you. I'm glad that everyone enjoyed it. Again, the majority of you is still on, which is amazing. People have asked whether I'm going to be sending a replay out for this. I did say no. However, would people find a replay valuable on this? If you would, I'm just genuinely curious as to otherwise, because it takes a bit of time to do it. Okay, there's a few people that do want it. Cool. Okay, that's fine. So you bear with us on it. It might take a couple of days to get it out, but if you want it, then I'll publish it probably on my YouTube channel or something like that. And I'll email you all as registrations and attendees of this to get the copy. So thank you very, very much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please do not be afraid to ask me on LinkedIn. I respond to every message that I get. Have an amazing day, evening, whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you all very soon.